everybody, I'm Emery Wells, and I'm here at NAB 2006. I'm standing in front of the Red Digital Cinema booth, which is of course showing the Red Digital Cinema camera. It's a revolutionary camera that shoots 4K at 60p. This was founded by Jim Gennard, who's the founder of Oakley Sunglasses. We're going to go find Ted Schilowitz, who's the leader of the rebellion. That's his official title. Let's go find Ted. So I'm here with Ted Schilowitz. Ted, the last time that we talked, things were a little bit different. You were with AJA Video.
Correct. Yep.
And now you are the leader of the rebellion for the Red Digital Cinema Corporation.
Yeah, that's actually my real title. That's not just kind of a made-up title for the show. It's my real title. Jim's title is Madman, actual real corporate title. Probably you want a little background, probably, right?
Yeah. Well, so I mean, of course, we're here to talk about the Red camera, which is a revolutionary digital cinema camera. But let's take it back a step for the viewers that don't know the history of the Red camera.
Sure.
So Jim Gennard, he's the founder of Red.
Right.
Tell us about Jim.
Sure. So Jim is the founder of Red. He's also the founder of another company you may know called Oakley. That is, quite a large company, very successful, world's finest optics, owns tons of patents, brilliant design for years and years and years and years. Fantastic company. And Jim's passion has always been photography, motion picture photography, still photography, you name it. He owns thousands of cameras. It's been his hobby and his passion forever. And he's always wanted to do his own camera because there's a tremendous amount of frustration that we all face. Jim especially, because he owns so many of these things, that none of them are the perfect beast, especially in this HD domain, in this digital cinema domain. Just, they do a lot of good things, but nothing that was really making him happy. Shoot them and go, no, this doesn't work for me.
What is it that you think about these other companies that they're unable to kind of get what we all want as shooters?
Good point. So to finish the thread on the whole Jim thing, so Jim's Oakley and Jim is Red. So separate companies, started by the same guy. So they basically have that same maverick spirit underneath. Take no prisoners, go for it, we're going to deliver something and change the landscape. And that's what I like to do. That's what I'm excited about doing and being a part of. In terms of what's different from what we're doing to what has come before us, and with all due respect, we have great respect for what has come before us in terms of the digital cinema space. But they're a different type of product, a different type of dynamic. These products are essentially experiments to prove that you can do this.
But not only are you redefining digital cinema, but you're also redefining the business model, and that's how you're able to make this camera. And we're going to talk about that in a second.
I would say we're not even thinking that far ahead. What we're thinking right now is we're going to make you this great camera, and the business model will come, and it's already sort of proving itself out in all kinds of ways. All we did was say, let's build the most amazing industrial design we can. That's Jim's job. That's his department. And let's go ahead and show it at NAB. We just decided to be at NAB just a couple months ago. So, we got industrial design ready, and
you just learned that you guys won Best in Show and Best Product. So I got to congratulate you.
Something like that. Yeah, I got to go to some big award ceremony. I hope they don't make me put on a tie or anything. That would be bad.
So it certainly seems like people are starting to believe in Red now. When the website first came out, a lot of people thought vaporware.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? We love that. We love the fact that there's skepticism, because our goal is to prove that we can do this. And healthy skepticism is healthy. It's good. There's been a lot that have come before us that have just completely failed.
Well, what would you say to the folks that think this is such a large step to go from making sunglasses to making the world's highest-end digital cinema camera? Is it fair to say that, a lot of people don't know Oakley is actually an optics research company?
Yeah, absolutely. Right? Oakley is very technology-driven. Jim is very technology-driven and completely inspired to do something. And I would say, give us our shot, give us our due. We're going to prove to you that we can do this. I've got a track record from my other life of changing things for the better. And we're going to do this.
And I'm looking forward to it. So bringing us to the actual camera, the Red camera, the first thing I got to mention, and we're going to talk about the specs, which is, of course, incredible, but the price.
Yeah.
It's $17,500.
Right. We didn't miss a digit there. A lot of people, when they see the presentation, like, you forgot a one, because everything else in the landscape is in that $100,000 and up club. Most of them you can't even buy in terms of what we're, the same sort of specs, and most of them don't even have near the specs that we have. That's evolution. That's changing everything. That's, when you go out to change the rules, first first thing you might want to do is actually go and change the rules. So that's what we're doing.
So to talk about the specs for a second, of course, this is a 4K camera.
This is a 4K camera.
Higher than 4K, in fact.
4K plus, yes. So you have a little what we call surround view, we call it. Sort of an overscan environment where you can actually look, and similar to film, which is all our heritage in this, when you shoot a 35mm negative, if you shoot and transfer that, you've got a big square. And typically now you're using a rectangle for delivery, so you've got room to maneuver around the frame. Because our sensor is so big, we have the ability to give you a little surround, and you can scooch around and post. And this camera is designed for post.
This is a 2/3 inch CMOS sensor.
No, this is not a 2/3 inch sensor. There's some other guys making 2/3 inch sensors, and those are okay for HD. Some are not okay for HD, but they'll be willing to say they are. This is a super 35mm 4K sensor.
And that's why it's able to accept the
CL mount lenses. This thing is
lenses.
Huge. It's a monster-sized sensor, giant sensor.
Which is actually, it's literally the same size as a piece of film negative.
Yeah, it's actually, from a technical standpoint, roughly the same size as 3-perf Super 35. So we're not sort of throwing away anything. We're delivering you a nice big rectangle sensor, and we're taking advantage of all of that image.
And what would you say to the folks that think 4K is completely overkill? We don't even have the systems today that can handle, our post-production systems can't handle 4K.
I would ask those people, how many of them own 8, 10, 16 megapixel still cameras? And would they rather shoot with that or their 1 or 3/4 megapixel camera on their cell phone? What's going to give you a better image? Even if ultimately you're going to see that image on the web. Well, I'd rather shoot with the 16 megapixel Nikon or Canon, because that's going to give me a kick-ass image that I can take and manipulate, and I can keep it in RAW, shoot it RAW, manipulate it in RAW. So what we're doing is, if you use the metaphor of a digital still camera and how they've evolved and how they've essentially replaced 35mm film for even the highest end digital still work, now everybody's made that migration pretty much. Well, we're taking that logic and saying, maybe it's time to apply that to the motion picture world. So they're doing 1 or 2 frames a second, we're going to do 60 frames a second. It's a whole lot of data, and that's probably a lot of questions, which I can answer now or later, but we're working on that too.
So let's talk about the data, because you brought us to that question. You're going to have a lot of options. You're going to have a lot of recording options in terms of data rates. You're developing a red codec, which is a wavelet-based codec. What is a wavelet-based codec?
Wow, you're actually talking to the wrong guy. It's a very advanced codec. There's a couple of different types.
JPEG 2000 is a wavelet.
JPEG is a great example. JPEG 2000 is a wavelet-based codec. It allows you to do things at a fairly low bit rate that can achieve a sense of visually lossless quality.
And you're achieving 444.
10-bit 444 is what our targets are.
And you're going to be able to choose variable rates.
So part of our goals, part of our targets, is that you'll be able to use this in a lot of different ways. If you're shooting a digital cinema movie, you're going to want something very different than, say, you're shooting a 10-hour corporate industrial. And this camera is very inclusionary because of its price point, because of the psychology, because of how we're building it, why we're building it. We're building a cinematography tool, but this isn't just for cinematographers. Although a lot of the guys taking pre-orders are high-end cinematographers, really high-end cinematographers that are very excited about us, and a lot of the big rental houses and a lot of sort of the traditional outlets. But there's also a whole bunch of people that would have never thought about buying a product like this, because number one, they couldn't, not even could they afford it, they couldn't even come close to affording it. It's just, you wouldn't ever buy it. And chances are most of them could never even rent it for a day, because it's just not in their ballpark.
Previous to today, if you wanted to buy a camera like this, which probably is not even available, it'd be upwards of $250,000.
Yeah, that's probably a fair assessment. I mean, I'm sure you could talk to the manufacturers and they will give you all kinds of numbers across the board. But you're talking well over 100 grand. Most of them don't even have an onboard recording device, and that's another 100 grand.
Let's talk about the onboard recording device, because we have several options for recording. It seems like with this camera, you're going to have a hard disk inside the camera, and that's going to be capable of recording the full 4K, 444, 60p material.
Most likely not 4K, but definitely 2K on down. 4K will most likely be an off-board solution. We'll have a high-speed data port on the camera to feed that raw Bayer pattern sensor data in its raw form and record it and then manipulate it and use it in post. That's really designed for people shooting super high-end digital cinematography.
So you're going to output the raw
2K is really our sweet spot for giving you better than HD.
Right, so you're going to be able to output the raw Bayer pattern data if you want. You're also going to be able to output the reconstructed RGBs. Is that going to happen in camera? You can capture that with some sort of fiber or high-speed data.
Yeah. So part of the logic is, here's this. There's a multiple pathways that we're working on in this camera. You'll have RGB, you'll have Bayer, you'll have industry standard dual link and single link HD SDI out, so you can record to traditional tape-based HD medium, which will cost a whole lot more than our camera.
Let's talk about Bayer, because I don't think a lot of people understand what that is and the difference between recording Bayer or recording the reconstructed RGB. So the benefit of recording the raw Bayer is that it's going to be a much lower data rate than the reconstructed RGB.
Potentially, yeah. I'm not willing to go that far out on a limb because it has different pros and cons as to what you do. The data's still going to be very high. I don't want to fool anybody.
It's high, but it will be a little bit lower, and then you can have the choice.
But I don't want to fool anybody that this is something they can put on a flash, like an SD card or something.
So that will go to the red rate.
Yeah, exactly.
And what is the red rate exactly?
It's in development, just like the rest of what we're doing. There'll probably be various versions of it using various technology. Just watch and see.
But just to get back to the Bayer pattern just for a second, when you record that's not going to be immediately ready to be edited.
That's correct.
You have to render that
process, right?
And that's when you reconstruct.
Right. And we have some scientists working on making that process very efficient and a lot faster than even I thought would be possible.
So is that going to be like some additional software that's released with the camera?
Probably so.
So what else about this camera is what's revolutionary is its form factor and its size and weight. It's tiny.
It's relatively tiny, 7 pounds without the battery and the digital magazine that's recording the storage. 7 pounds. So you can easily fly this on a Steadicam, and a lot of times it might be too small. So we built this thing called the cage. You guys can get some B-roll, I'm guessing, so you can cut in stuff, right?
Yeah.
The cage surrounds the camera, gives you the ability to grow the camera properly, and it hang all kinds of things and all kinds of attachments all over it. You know, we're trying to make a tool that people can use. We're trying to learn from other people's errors or missteps or not thinking through the process. There's no need to go, well, give me my roll of gaffer's tape. Let me tape this on, let me Velcro this, boom, boom, boom. Why don't we give you hundreds of mounting points all over, perfectly threaded, with a well-designed, thought-out, I'm going to put a monitor here, and one here, and a battery here, and a rig here, and a place to hold my stuff here and here and here, and a French flag here.
Fred,
why do we have to
this camera looks nothing like a typical camera.
You know?
I mean, it looks like it's something that came straight out of Terminator 2, and that's due to the Jim's industrial
You're
design.
seeing Jim's brain in action. Jim was the only designer of everything that Oakley ever built for the first 15 years of that company. Now he's got I know he's still Oakley, but now he's got this new horse, and he's having a really fun time doing it.
So is that the only relationship? I mean, obviously Jim is the founder of each, but is there people from the Oakley team that is working on the Red camera?
Well, there's a little bit of blending, but not really. I mean, they're two separate teams. It's two separate entities. We're really close by because Jim's got a lot of Oakley stuff to do during the day, and Red's got its own separate office, but it's just a mile away. Phone's ringing, sorry. So Jim and I spend a whole lot of time together. Sometimes he's got some Oakley meetings. He's like, I got some Oakley work to do, and he does that. And then we'll go off to the Red Lab and do a little Red work. But he's really working on the project. That's what's really cool about it. People don't really know. He's got a job. Industrial design is his job. I got my job. He's got his job. And day to day, we're on our computers. We're working. We're reacting and interreacting continually, very, very quickly with a very small core team of people. That's how we're able to do this.
And what about the lenses? Are the lenses being designed by the Oakley team? Are they Oakley branded lenses? That's what you're
actually, they're red lenses. At this point, they're red lenses. But Oakley obviously has a lot of expertise in optics. But at this point, these are red built and branded lenses.
And today you're announcing, or not today, but at the start of NAB, a couple days ago, you announced one of the lenses, which is the 300mm prime.
Yeah, which was just the first one we had ready for the show. We'll have a whole range of lenses, obviously including a zoom. That 300 prime is under $5,000. It's gorgeous, optically beautiful. PL mount, so it's not, there's no sacrifice here because our lens is an order of magnitude less money than some of the traditional PL mount lenses out in the world.
And of course, you're going to play with all the lenses.
Oh yeah, well that's part of the idea. Is we love the world's best optics. So we're showing Cook lenses in our booth. We have one of our protos, actually two of our protos that have Cook lenses right on them, so you can take pictures of those. It's great. We're happy to be part of that community.
Well, you know what, Ted, I'm a believer. Thanks so much for sharing more about the Red camera. And if you guys want to learn more about it, I guess go to red.com.
Red.com.
And it's going to be shipping at the end of the year, you hope?
Well, it's an engineering target. We are on target so far. Sensor stuff's looking really good. Industrial design is obviously looking great. Internal electronics and everything that goes into making a camera are on schedule, on target. Now I got to keep my stars aligned. So I'm not going to say, and I'm not going to sort of say, well, we're definitely going to get you there, but we feel really confident that we're going to get you there by the end of this calendar year.
And just one more thing, you guys are taking pre-orders. Are you taking any more pre-orders at NAB, or are you done with that?
No, we're taking them through NAB. We're in the hundreds already, so it's remarkable. We take a non-refundable, $1,000 deposit. You can actually go online, send us an email, or call. If you call the office, the red office phone number, you hear my voice on there saying, "We're at NAB. Here's a cell phone number. You can call us." And we've been getting orders from all over the planet. People saying we can order up to 5. Again, we want to make this so that not one person couldn't buy them all, which that could have easily happened. So any individual or any individual company can get 5, and there's been a lot of people that have said, "We'll take 5." It's a completely refundable deposit at any point in time. You're a little nervous about it, you call me or you call Jim and you say, I don't know, I think I'm out. And if we can't tell you why you shouldn't be out, then here's your money back. No questions asked.
All right, guys, well, you hear to hear first. If you want to buy Red camera, go to red.com and put your deposit down, $1,000, totally refundable. I mean, not much of a risk.
Oh, I don't think so. I think you're just betting on the future.
Ted, thanks so much.
Thank you.